her teenage son.
What I discovered this weekend is my son doesn't like me anymore.
But he's best friends with his dad.
You know how 13-year-olds are? I was the same way when I was 13, but it is breaking my heart.
Her experience has lit up social media.
And joining us now to talk about it, licensed professional counselor Brenda Lee Roberts. How are you tonight, Brenda Lee?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Now, Wendy's experience isn't unusual among mothers of teenagers, is it?
It isn't. You know what? If you haven't had a teenager say that to you yet, at some point, it's coming. They're going to find their identity, and part of the way to find their identity is to separate from their parents, and sometimes they don't exactly separate from their parents in the nicest of ways.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little Pollyannish, but wouldn't it be nice if we had some kids not telling their parents they hated them? I mean, is that too much to ask? It's one thing to separate. I'm just saying, does it have to be that intense? And do parents have to feel so isolated for a few years there?
Well, it certainly hurt a lot less if teenagers learned how to share those emotions, and they do in time. You know, they come back to us. Unfortunately, they just leave us for a little while, and we have to figure out a way to survive those teenage years. I heard a phrase one time like nailing Jello to a tree, raising a teenager, and that's exactly the way it is. And bless Wendy's heart, you know, she shared a very private emotion on public TV, and she shared what everybody else has felt. Unfortunately, it's just a lot of people were watching.
Now, do teens often see their mothers as the disciplinarian while dad is the fun one?
No, you know, that depends on the role of the parent, who's the stay-at-home parent and who's the working parent, whose custody that they're in, whose parenting time they spend with, and that develops over time who the fun parent is and who the disciplinarian is, and it could be mom or dad.
Sometimes neither, sometimes both, I guess. Both are considered pushovers. I hate to put it that way.
Sometimes both, and unfortunately that's when you find those teenagers who push those boundaries a little bit further with what they say because they know that they can get away with it.
Now, you know, we were talking about teenagers telling their parents they hate them. In my day, that was cause for being invited to leave the house. I mean, if you want to start taking care of yourself, then you can start saying stuff like, Mom, I hate you. But things have really changed as far as how comfortable kids are just telling their parents exactly what they think.
They have changed, and I tell you what, that leaves parents in a very gray area of what the heck do I do with what they just said to me. And the most important thing, if I want to share anything, and that is, the most important thing to do is say, you know, it's okay for you to hate me. I get it. I know things suck for you right now, but how you say it to me makes all the difference. And here's what you can say, and here's what I won't tolerate you saying.
We may know at some point, although it may not be publicized, what happens in the case of Wendy and her kid. Maybe he will be so overcome with emotion now that his mom has done this. Most of us, of course, don't have a platform like hers to reach millions of people and talk about our families. How do we, beyond what you just said, reach out to our kids and make sure that they not only address us properly, but don't go so far away from us and don't try to separate?
Well, one thing to remember is we're modeling for our children how to interact with other human beings when we don't like them. And so the best thing that we can do, first of all, is demonstrate our unconditional love for them and to show them no matter what you say, I'm still going to be here when it's time for you to come back to me. Parents need to learn to just breathe and come up with their own mantra, whether it's exhale, they're going to come back to me, this too shall pass, whatever it is that they can say to themselves that will kind of catch their attention and cause them not to react. You know, don't return that rejection from the child because it is a very immature thing to do for a child, although they're trying to reach for maturity. So the best thing to do is don't return the rejection. Continue to demonstrate the unconditional love.
Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thank y'all.
Licensed professional counselor Brenda Lee Roberts.